You're cruising down the highway, committed to a lane change. Traffic's moving. Your left hand's on the grip, and then you see it. Another rider coming the opposite direction, hand already dropping into that two-finger wave. Now you're stuck. Ignore them and feel like a jerk. Wave back and take your hand off the bar mid-maneuver. We've been told the wave is mandatory, a sacred rule of motorcycle culture. Brotherhood of the road. You wave or you're not a real rider. But here's the truth. It's not a requirement. It's a choice. Today we're breaking down what the wave really means, where it came from, and most importantly, when you should absolutely ignore it. Let's start with the history because understanding the origin changes everything about how you view this gesture. The origin, more than just a handshake. The most common myth you'll hear is that the motorcycle wave started as a wabayagdasas military salute between Harley riders. Veterans coming home, acknowledging each other on the road. Sounds romantic, sounds meaningful. It's also completely wrong. The actual origin is simpler and more practical. Riders were acknowledging shared risk on dangerous roads. In the 1960s and 70s, motorcycles were unreliable. Roads were poor. Riders were few. Seeing another motorcycle meant you weren't alone in taking on that risk. The wave was a silent, "I see you, stay safe out there." It wasn't about brand loyalty or club affiliation. It was about survival. Think about what riding was like back then. No ABS, no traction control. Bias ply tires that lost grip in the rain. Drum brakes that faded after one hard stop. Roads with expansion joints that could swallow a wheel. No cell phones if you broke down. Every ride carried real consequences. Seeing another rider meant seeing someone who understood that reality. The wave acknowledged it. The gesture evolved regionally. Some areas used two fingers down, others a full hand wave, some just nod. The commonality was always a quick, low gesture that didn't require removing your hand from the throttle for long. This wasn't ceremony, it was practicality wrapped in camaraderie. Modern context has changed everything. Motorcycles are reliable. A properly maintained bike will start every time, run for hundreds of thousands of miles, and handle predictably in conditions that would have been suicidal 50 years ago. Roads are better maintained. Potholes get filled, surfaces are smoother, visibility is improved. Riders are everywhere. In some areas, you'd spend your entire ride waving if you acknowledged every motorcycle you passed. The wave persists not because it's required, but because it connects us to that original spirit. It's a reminder that we're part of something larger than ourselves, a community built on shared experience. But understanding this history is critical. The wave was born from safety awareness, not social obligation. The moment it compromises your safety, you're violating the original intent. Now that you know where it came from, let's talk about the unspoken rules that developed around it. The unspoken rules. The code of the left hand. The traditional wave uses the left hand, held low, usually two fingers extended downward, or in a peace sign. Why the left hand? Your right hand controls the throttle and front brake. Those are the two most critical controls on your motorcycle. Removing your right hand mid-ride is asking for trouble. Why low? A high wave blocks your view and signals distraction to other drivers. A low wave keeps your sightline clear and shows you're in control. Why two fingers? It's quick, visible, and doesn't require fully opening your hand. You maintain some grip on the bar even as you extend the gesture. The timing matters more than most riders realize. The wave happens when you're in a safe, stable riding position. Straight road, good visibility, no immediate hazards. You never wave in a turn. You never wave during acceleration or hard braking. You never wave when road conditions demand full attention. There's an unspoken hierarchy some riders follow. Cruiser-to-cruiser waves are most common. Sport bikes often skip it. Adventure riders are inconsistent. This isn't snobbery, it's context. Sport bike riders in full tuck at highway speeds can't safely wave. Their body position is locked. Their hands are supporting their weight. Removing a hand at 80 mph creates significant drag and destabilizes the bike. Adventure riders on technical terrain are focused on the road, not social gestures. Gravel, ruts, off-camber turns. These demand total concentration. Scooter and small displacement riders often get ignored. This reflects outdated gatekeeping more than safety. The reality is many scooter riders aren't part of motorcycle culture. They're commuters. They don't expect the wave, so not giving it isn't an insult. But when a small bike rider who is part of the culture gets ignored, that's when it crosses into snobbery. The rules also include practical exceptions. Don't wave to riders in large groups. They're focused on formation and maintaining spacing. Don't wave to cops on bikes. Different context, different mission. Don't expect a wave back from someone clearly struggling with their bike. They're fighting to stay upright. Here's what most riders miss. These aren't rules. They're guidelines born from safety-first thinking. The moment the wave compromises your control, the rule no longer applies. This brings us to the most important section, when courtesy becomes dangerous. The safety first principle: when courtesy kills your body changes as you age. Your reaction time slows. Your grip strength decreases. Your ability to recover from an unexpected input diminishes. Taking your left hand off the handlebar removes 50% of your steering control. In certain conditions, that's not just risky, it's reckless. Scenario 1. Heavy crosswinds. You're riding across an open stretch. A strong gust hits your bike while your hand is off the bar. You have no counterbalance. The bike drifts. You overcorrect with one hand. Suddenly, you're fighting to stay upright. This isn't theoretical. Crosswinds push harder on motorcycles than most riders realize. Your body acts as a sail. When both hands are on the bars, you can apply smooth, balanced pressure to keep the bike tracking straight. With one hand off, that gust becomes a shove you can't counter effectively. Scenario 2. Poor road surfaces. Gravel, potholes, uneven pavement, wet leaves. Your suspension compresses unexpectedly. The bike jolts. With one hand off the bar, you can't stabilize. Modern bikes have excellent suspension, but they can't predict surface changes. Your hands provide the stabilizing pressure that keeps the bike tracking smoothly through rough patches. Remove one hand, and you're relying entirely on the other to absorb and correct for every bump. Scenario 3. Tight turns or curves. Even a gentle sweeper requires smooth, balanced input. Removing your hand mid-turn shifts your body weight and disrupts the lean angle. This is basic physics. Your hands aren't just steering, they're anchoring your upper body position. When you take a hand off the bar in a turn, your torso rotates slightly. That rotation changes how your weight is distributed across the contact patches. The bike responds by either standing up or leaning further, neither of which you intended. Scenario 4. Shifting or downshifting. If you're in the middle of a gear change, your left hand is already occupied with the clutch. Waving requires interrupting that process. This can cause a missed shift or an abrupt clutch release. A missed shift means a sudden loss of power or an unexpected engine braking event. An abrupt clutch release can lock the rear wheel momentarily. Both create instability exactly when you need control. Scenario 5. Riding in traffic. Lane changes, merging, navigating aggressive drivers. Your attention is divided. Your inputs need to be precise. A wave adds unnecessary cognitive load. Traffic riding is already mentally demanding. You're tracking multiple vehicles, predicting driver behavior, managing speed differentials. Adding a social gesture to that mental cue increases the chance you'll miss something critical. A car drifting into your lane, a brake light ahead, a merge you didn't anticipate. Scenario 6. Fatigue. After hours in the saddle, your muscles are tired. Your focus is waning. Removing your hand from the bar when you're already compromised increases the risk of a mistake. Fatigue degrades fine motor control first. Your ability to make smooth, precise inputs suffers. This is exactly when you need both hands firmly on the controls, not when you should be attempting one-handed riding for the sake of courtesy. Scenario 7. Unfamiliar roads. You don't know what's around the next corner. Keeping both hands on the bars gives you maximum response capability. Familiar roads let you anticipate. You know where the bad pavement is, where the blind corners are, where traffic typically backs up. On unfamiliar roads, you have none of that information. Every corner is a question mark. Every crest could hide a hazard. Here's the reality. Experienced riders know this instinctively. They don't wave when conditions are marginal. They don't judge others for doing the same. The problem is newer riders or those caught up in the culture feel obligated to wave regardless of context. This is where ego overrides intelligence. The mature rider prioritizes control over courtesy every single time. If someone gets offended because you didn't wave, that's their problem, not yours. Your job is to get home safely, not to validate someone else's expectations. So, who should you ignore, and why is it not about being rude? Who to ignore, and why it's not snobbery? Let's address the elephant in the room. Some riders don't wave back. It bothers people. The assumption is they're snobs, elitists, gatekeepers who think their bike or their riding style makes them superior. Sometimes that's true, but more often there's a practical reason you're not seeing. Group 1. Sport bike riders at speed. They're in an aerodynamic tuck, hands locked on the bars, chest pressed against the tank, elbows tucked. Removing a hand at 70 mph creates significant drag. The wind catches your arm like a parachute. The bike destabilizes. Your body position shifts. You're suddenly fighting to maintain your line. They're not ignoring you. They're riding smart. Group 2. Riders in large groups or club formations. Their focus is on maintaining position and spacing. A wave breaks concentration and can cause the entire group to bunch up or spread out unpredictably. Formation riding is work. You're tracking the rider ahead, the rider beside you, and maintaining consistent throttle to keep the group tight. You're watching for hand signals from the road captain. You're anticipating stops and turns. If you see a pack of 10 or more riders, don't expect waves. They're working, not socializing. This isn't rudeness, it's discipline. Group 3, adventure riders on technical terrain. Gravel, dirt, steep inclines, loose surfaces. Their cognitive load is maxed out. They're reading the surface texture, adjusting body position over the pegs, managing traction at both wheels, choosing lines through ruts and rocks. A wave is the last thing on their mind, and that's exactly how it should be. Off-road riding demands total focus. One lapse in attention means a drop bike or worse. Group 4, riders who are clearly struggling. Wobbly lines, frequent corrections, slow speed and fast traffic. They're new, uncomfortable, possibly dealing with a mechanical issue. Maybe their bike's too heavy for them. Maybe they're on their first highway ride. Waving at them adds pressure and distraction. They're already overwhelmed. Let them focus on surviving the ride. The last thing they need is to feel obligated to perform a social gesture when they're barely maintaining control. Group 5, cops on motorcycles. Different context, different mission. They're scanning for violations, watching traffic flow, looking for impaired drivers or aggressive behavior. They're not looking for camaraderie, they're working. Don't take it personally. Their job isn't to validate your membership in the riding community, it's to enforce traffic laws and maintain safety. Group 6, scooter and small displacement riders. This is where the culture gets ugly. Many riders refuse to wave at scooters or bikes under 300cc. They view them as not real motorcycles. This is gatekeeping, plain and simple. But here's the nuance. Scooter riders often aren't part of motorcycle community culture. They're commuters. They bought a scooter for fuel economy and parking convenience, not because they love riding. They don't expect the wave. Not giving it isn't an insult. The issue arises when a small bike rider who is part of the culture gets ignored. Someone on a 250cc who rides for the same reasons you do, who understands the risks and the rewards, who chose 2 wheels over 4. That's when it crosses into snobbery. Engine displacement doesn't determine commitment or skill. Here's the practical take. If someone doesn't wave back, assume they have a good reason. Maybe they didn't see you. Peripheral vision varies. Helmet design affects sight lines. Sun glare obscures faces. They might have been checking their mirror at the exact moment you passed. Maybe they're dealing with something you can't observe. A mechanical issue. Fatigue, pain from an old injury, distraction from a personal crisis. Maybe they're prioritizing safety over social norms, exactly as they should. The worst thing you can do is internalize it as rejection or disrespect. Riding is personal. The wave is optional. Your safety is not. If you find yourself getting upset because someone didn't wave back, ask yourself why their validation matters so much. The riders who matter, the ones who understand what we're actually doing out here, won't judge you for skipping the wave when conditions demand it. So, if the traditional wave is sometimes unsafe, what are the alternatives? Intelligent adaptations, the safer alternatives. The solution isn't to abandon acknowledgement, it's to adapt it to modern realities. Alternative 1, the head nod. Simple, quick, requires 0 hand movement. Tip your helmet forward slightly as you pass. Visible to the other rider. Communicates the same respect. Keeps both hands on the controls. This works in nearly every scenario where a hand wave would be unsafe. Crosswinds, rough pavement, traffic, turns. The head nod gives you the acknowledgement without the risk. Alternative 2, the foot tap. Tap your foot peg or floorboard as you pass. Less common, but effective. Works well in group rides when your hands are occupied with clutch and throttle. Also useful when you're mid-shift and can't safely move your hand. The visibility is lower than a hand wave, but riders who know this signal will catch it. And if they don't, you've still maintained full control of your bike. Alternative 3, the throttle blip. A quick rev as you pass. Audible acknowledgement. This works well at stoplights or in parking lots. Less practical at highway speeds where engine noise blends with wind and traffic. But in the right context, it's a clear signal that you see them. Alternative 4, the blinker flash. Tap your turn signal once as you pass. Visible. Requires minimal effort. Keeps your hands in place. Your thumb is already near the signal button. One quick tap communicates acknowledgement without compromising your grip. This is especially useful when you're in the middle of a maneuver and can't safely wave. Mid-turn. Changing lanes, navigating traffic. The blinker flash lets you acknowledge without adding risk. Alternative 5, the delayed wave. If you're mid-turn or in traffic, wait until you're clear. Wave once you're in a safe, stable position. Most riders will understand the delay. They know you were focused on the road first, courtesy second. This requires reading the situation. If the other rider is long gone by the time you're clear, skip it. But if you're both stopped at the next light or riding parallel for a stretch, the delayed wave works perfectly. Alternative 6, no acknowledgement at all, and that's fine. Not every interaction requires a response. If conditions don't allow it, skip it. The right riders will understand. The wrong riders aren't worth your concern. The key principle: adapt the gesture to fit the situation. Don't force the situation to fit the gesture. Younger riders and those new to the culture often feel pressure to wave at every single motorcycle. This is exhausting and unsafe, especially in areas with high rider density. Experienced riders are selective. They wave when it's safe and meaningful. They skip it when it's not. Here's the intelligent approach. Decide before you start your ride what your wave policy will be. If you're on a technical road or in heavy traffic, commit to not waving. Remove the decision-making burden. You've already decided that safety comes first. Now you can focus entirely on riding. If you're on a relaxed cruise with good visibility and light traffic, wave freely. Enjoy the camaraderie. Connect with other riders. This pre-decision eliminates the split-second judgment call that can lead to mistakes. You're not weighing courtesy against safety in the moment. You've already made the call based on conditions. And here's the final point. The best way to honor the spirit of the wave is to ride safely. The original intent was acknowledging shared risk and encouraging safe riding. If waving compromises your safety, you're violating the spirit of the gesture. The riders who understand this will never judge you for keeping both hands on the bars. They'll respect the decision because they make the same one. Conclusion: the smarter ride. The motorcycle wave is a choice, not a mandate. It's a cultural gesture rooted in safety and camaraderie, but it should never compromise your control. Ignore the wave when conditions demand it. Use safer alternatives when possible. Never let ego or social pressure override intelligent riding decisions. The riders who matter will understand. The ones who don't aren't worth your concern. Ride smarter, ride safer, and remember, the best way to respect a fellow rider is to make it home in one piece. If this changed how you think about the wave, subscribe for more practical riding advice.